somewhere that your audition included Post-it notes and basing Jenny from on Shane Walsh.
That's right. I have to talk to Scott Gimple about those Post-it notes. I think he's also forgotten what that was about. I think it was just like loosen, you know, just to like get a sense of how I move in the room and how I can go from, if I can be silly, I suppose, or I've asked him at some point, he's like, I did that to you? I'm like, yeah, you gave me Post-it notes before I had to do this serious scene. Trying to put one up really high on the wall. It was like really bizarre. If anything, it threw me off probably, but hey, he liked it.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
Oh, that was such a great idea. No, so all I had was mock sides that were between two cops, which, you know, Huck and Felix, code names. I don't remember what the names were. And so I started sort of going through The Walking Dead again. I watched the first, you know, 4 episodes or something, season 1, and it was Shane and Rick.
Right.
And I immediately sort of aligned myself with that because it seemed like that's who we were in the sides, you know, and I was right, luckily.
Yeah, you were.
Else. But yeah, no, I really, yeah, I suppose you pick up on these things subconsciously, and you know, it guides you in your decision making for these roles. It seems so like rough to me.
But like on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, you know, she's a woman, and we'd get into that side actually, season 2.
What is it like to portray such a multifaceted character?
Oh, it's always an honor. You know, I going in, I mean, I don't really. Matt has said, the creator has said some things like, look, she's tied into, you know, it's like she's on a mission, etc. But I was kind of just rolling with the flow, and I was so excited that, you know, probably the first 5 episodes, Huck was just chilling with the group, and I never get to do that in my other characters. So I was just like, I was literally just doing that. I wasn't even thinking much about the alternative mission, because my mission was to be really part of make this my new life. And I did, and it was so nice and so lax, and I loved it. You know, I didn't have to kill, I didn't have to do anything. I was just like chilling.
Exactly. Just be one of the guys.
Yeah.
The second babysitter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how great is that? It's like not responsible at all.
Any personal aspects of yourself that you put into her?
I think it happens without me. I mean, I tend to not play myself because I try to I try to be someone else. That's the whole point. I think ultimately why I probably got the part is because you don't really know no one ever really knows like what I'm talking about exactly, because I talk generally and like what my alignment is or where I'm from, you know. So, and I think that Huck's kind of like that. It's like, is she good? Is she bad? Is she like, whose team is she on? And even though she plays, you know, multiple sides, there is a core to her. There are principles and values that anybody can relate to, and that's very respectable. And I think that's why people, you know, have empathy towards her, even though she does these sort of, you know, brutal things. Yeah, no, there's a greater good. Like she doesn't fight for herself. She fights for something bigger. She's ready to put herself on the line for stuff, just because she knows it's all temporary, it's all fleeting. We all play our roles, and you have to be okay with that.
How do you deal with the negativity on social media when it comes to your character?
She helps us all, you know, get through the last year. Her attitude is just so doable, you know. It's kind of she just goes with the flow. It's like, yeah, this is what it is. Could always be worse, you know.
But
could always be better. So let's just, you know, stick to that. I think we've all, like, I've definitely clung to her more so than ever, you know, during the last bit here. But, you know, I think the only negative thing I've gotten was people have a hard time understanding her, and maybe that's also her alignment is, you know, we'll learn more about her season 2. So I'm okay with that. And I never could talk much about my characters in press. So there's always been, I can't really answer your questions. And you know, even still with season 1, we don't truly know what's going on at the CRM and what role she plays there. So that's been frustrating. And I can see how people could be frustrated with that.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's okay. Well, good things are worth waiting for.
With Cutlets must have been pretty rad. Is it safe to say she probably served with Abraham?
It was really awesome because, you know, Sergeant Abraham, and it was my, you know, Marine coming out sort of flashback episode. So I really was just pampered because I had him, and then I had a real sergeant who was training me, and the rest of the guys, Drake and the troop, and I just felt like I was in boot camp, and I was just a priceless moment in my life. You know, I was so submerged in her, in Huck, and I mean, it was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible because what Cutlets really brings to the table, he's, you know, he's really tough, and yet he's very kind and very curious and interested, and we really very much aligned in that. Told the story and really tapped into her the proper way. So it was just really fortunate. So as far as like relating to other shows and things like that, our creator has such great backstories for us, and we tapped into a lot of it. We managed to do it this season because we had to wrap up the show, and it's just really intense, and we dove into all of these great things he had planned for us, you know, over the next 10 years, right? That we sort of squeezed into this epic, you know, 10 episode finale season. So we get into a lot of that, and he's done such an incredible job. Hats off to him. Anything is possible.
That is true.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. All those gals are awesome. And I love the parallels you're drawing. It actually, you know, inspires things when I go back and get into Huck, you know.
Yay.
What the fans are seeing and the correlations they're making is, you know, I mean, it's treasures, you know, it's gifts for me to go back into and be like, oh, okay. That's what she's giving off.
Let's get the skinny on Jen and Felix.
Definitely have each other's backs. And yeah, there's a really precious relationship there that she hasn't had. I think, you know, with Drake, it was obviously romantic love, right. and that's more complicated. And Felix, it was purely, you know, we're just two buds and doing our thing, and it's all like he has good intentions, and so does Huck.
Right.
They really met there, and that's like a pure place to meet, and they had this childlike relationship in some ways, even though they're, you know, tough security guards. So
right.
It just was really sweet, and I know he's very hurt, and I don't know if it's going to take a lot of reparation for him to trust her again. You know, he's falling out with his parents, and she's disappointed him, and he's, you know, it's going to be tough kind of getting back together and aligning ourselves, but I don't think it's impossible.
No, because I mean, she can tell him her backstory. First of all, she saved people and offed her entire team to save kids. I think her trigger was actually the baby crying.
Yeah, so, you know, that's true, but Felix, you know, he has a hard time breaking loyalties, you know,
right.
And he's sort of been with this one family that's been his unit his whole life, and
right.
He's never done what Huck has done as far as just bounced out and or picked, you know, another side, or just these sort of brutal, in the heat of the moment decisions.
Right.
He hasn't had to really live that. So, and you have to live that to truly understand that. And
has it been since she's seen Elizabeth as a kid, and what happened with her dad? I'm assuming he must have ditched the family when she was like 16 or something.
Yeah, we'll also get into that. The dad part and the mom part is a big part of season 2.
Right,
As they are approaching the CRM.
right, right.
You know, she hasn't spent much time. Her mom's so successful, you know, she's been all around the world, and Jenny has been with her uncle in Queens,
Hmm.
just sort of growing up with friends, really, and then joining the forces and carving her own way, you know, in the footsteps of her parents. But again, there was issues there, so she's rebelling
Right.
against their ways and how they went about things. And that's good for her. I mean, all kids do that. Yeah, but our whole life we do want closure and we want understanding of why they did the things they did. So I'm hoping, and she will get some of those things answered, you know, once she's back home.
Right, right.
CRM.
Poor thing. She's probably like, I don't want to be here right now.
Yeah, what a home to grow up in. Or
Yeah. What is with the lettuce? I have to ask. Does she just not like it in her sandwiches, or what's going on with that?
look, I haven't heard of a soldier who eats salad and goes up. So
That's what I thought too.
protein, protein, protein.
Liz saw something of Jen in Hope flipping her off, stubborn. Did she try to run from her mom early on? Or, and you're probably going to say no to this because you probably can't say it, but what is with Dad's watch? Does it have a tracker? Is that how she found her?
It's a really good question, and I've wondered about that too. We all have, but I think Huck is so, you know, she could probably take that watch apart and put it back together.
Oh,
So for Liz to throw that in the mix would be, you know, she'd be tampering
right,
already with a fragile relationship there. So I think it's kosher. Led those civilians into safety
right.
and
And then
looked
booked
at
it.
the Civic Republic. And I think, yeah, mom probably had to redeem her because, you
Right,
know, she wasn't supposed to do that. She was supposed to kill them all. So,
right.
but I think, you know, Jen was able to prove that, hey, you know, these people are not diseased. You know,
Mhm.
that was just a moment, that decision made in the heat of the moment that, you know,
Right.
wasn't correct. And it obviously helps having a mother in high places.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not, we will cover their relationship.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, there's going to be a lot of really good moments to find clarity in
good.
what all happened and how and why. You know, Huck, I mean, Huck will, she doesn't have,
Get along with everybody.
you have to, you know, you have to at least try and then see what happens. And if you don't, you don't. So it's all up for grabs. And again, the season will be explosive just because it has to be. There's so many loose ends. We had season 1 was all these covering all these beginnings, right? And
Right.
season 2 literally it has to cover all the ends, and we will get there.
Did she love Drake? I think there was a one night stand situation there.
You know, they were in Afghanistan together, and he
Mhm.
was her sergeant at the time, and um they really trusted each other, and they only had each other, and it was her first tour, so she's seen some things with him uh on the field that, you know, she is still digesting, so to say, and that's what comes up with the jukebox, and he's sort of like, look, you
Right,
just roll with it, this is what it is.
right,
That's
right.
the end of conversation. And so he's been her mentor and teacher, and I think there was great love,
Hmm.
all those things, and it was a really tough thing she had to make. Nothing in her life came easy, and
No.
all these, you know, PTSD, like it stays with you. It's such huge trauma that
Right.
she'll be digesting for the rest of her life.
Girl, you got hit over the back with a cupboard door. How heavy was that? And the fire, it looked terrifying, but dude, that looks fun. I won't lie.
I was praying before each take for our stunt doubles and us, because Nico and I like to do everything ourselves as
Right,
well.
right,
And there was the fire, you know, I don't think you think about the fire in rehearsals. You're just sort of like, hey, there will be a fire. And you can't practice for the
Right.
fire. So you just sort of
No.
all of a sudden are, oh my gosh, now I have to do everything that I've learned and I can't really breathe. I just have to do it in one breath, like underwater, like under
Right.
fire. It was this like weird thing. We did it all, like jumping from the staircase, I was like, I can do it. In retrospect, I'm like, God forbid you get hurt jumping from the stairs and then you can't do the rest of the fight.
Right. Right.
It was, the adrenaline, I suppose.
Right.
That and God, like,
Yeah. For
saves the
real.
day at the end. But no, everything was done, safely, and we were able to do it because AMC and The Walking Dead, they know how to take care of, how to make all this happen. So we were able
Right.
to get in there and do everything.
Right.
And
Right.
it was such a great experience. I mean, where else do I get to do such an action? The show dies. So in some super, what is it? Super, I don't know, in some grand scheme, right? It's the end. But
You need
The
tissue
Walking Dead,
box.
because of fans like you, these characters live forever and you connect the dots in these, in these unique, amazing ways. And I thank you for that. And tissue, we should always cry, even like great. That's the only way to digest everything, through great laughter, which ends in tears, or, anger, it all should end in tears. That's how you move on. So
Right. It's always sad at the end of a project.
some tissues or a towel.